fresh for 88, you suckers.
No, that was, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, that was my joint. That was like one of my favorite Boogie Down production songs. KRS-One did the damn thing in that joint. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from the den, y'all. LegacyInternetRadio.com. Now, word from our sponsors, Colin Banks. Tell us about our first sponsor, my brother.
Our first sponsor is CL Power Photography. He's looking to take pictures of your weddings, your banquets, your bar mitzvahs, your anything you need a photographer for type guy. That's what he's here to get for you. He's here to capture that special once-in-a-lifetime moment. You can reach him at his email address is long. He's going to have to shorten this. I'm going to have to talk to that brother. It's c.l.powell.photo@gmail.com. Again, his email address is c.l.powell.photo@gmail.com. He's ready to take any and every picture you want, you need, your bourgeois, anything. We need it. Baby pictures, engagement pictures, you name it, he'll do it. Baseball, sports, call him. Let him know. Well, email him. He'll call you that after you email him, but get at him.
He'll even take some Ray J, Kim Kardashian pictures for you if you want him to.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he would.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is also sponsored by the Doctor of Optometry, Dr. Euphemia Huggins Williams, ODPC. She's my eye doctor, y'all. She keeps my eyes healthy, always keeps me in stylish eyewear, and definitely check her out if you've got, first of all, before I even get into anything, every single person on the planet, if you live long enough, you're going to need glasses. So there's no sense in waiting. Go ahead in there and get your eyes checked early on. She makes sure that you're healthy, stigmatisms, glaucoma, cataracts. She makes sure that all of those are in order. Also has a collection of stylish eyewear. If you've ever seen me, you know that you will rarely ever see me without glasses. I get them all from her. So takes all kinds of insurances. So definitely go and check her out. 804-327-1640. She's at 7124 Forest Hill Avenue, Suite B, right here in the Richmond, Virginia area, 23225. The Doctor of Optometry, Dr. Euphemia Huggins Williams, ODPC. Also at this time, we always profile a missing and/or exploited child. This week, this missing child is Angela Connor. Angela Connor's been missing since July 19, 2013. She's 5'4", weighs 125 pounds. She's a black female, approximately 16 years old. In the photograph that I'm looking at, she's got long micro braids. She's missing from Virginia Beach, last seen on the 19th of July of this year. She may still be in the local area. She's probably a runaway, but you know how I feel with regards to runaways. Amanda Berry in Cleveland and the other two women who were missing were listed as runaways, and we know that they were taken against their will. So just because they're listed as a runaway does not mean that we forget about them, especially when they are under the age of 18. So definitely keep your eyes open for Angela Connor. Call up the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children at 1-800-THE LOST, 1-800-843-5678, or hit them on their website of missingkids.com, or contact the Black and Missing Foundation. Any way that you can get a tip in to try to bring Angela Connor home, or any other missing and or exploited child. I also encourage folks to just every once in a while pull up your area on the missingkids.com website, as well as on the Black and Missing Foundation website. Every once in a while, just pull it up. We also know, even though we represent a small portion of the population, we represent a large portion of the missing children and missing people in general, largely because no one's looking for us. You know, there's certain people that get looked for, and there's certain people that have their pictures all over the news and things of that sort when they go missing. Unfortunately, we aren't those certain people. So we definitely here, Ain't No Half Steppin', Marcus J, Legacy Internet Radio, feel that it's our duty to do our part with regards to searching for our own. Ain't No Half Steppin', Marcus J, live from the den, LegacyInternetRadio.com. We are the flagship show right here at LegacyInternetRadio.com. And keeping with the missing kids theme, the first story that I want to do in What the Hell, and we know we hadn't had What the Hell in a while. We did last week. We kind of kept it straight up political, socio-economical, and all that kind of stuff last week. So we didn't have a story that was definitely labeled as what the hell. But damn it, we back to what the hell this week. This week, actually today, it was announced that 105 kids rescued in prostitution rings today, Monday, the 29th of July, 2013, and 150 people were arrested. Today. It was the largest law enforcement action focused on child forced into slavery in history, an official said. The FBI announced it today. 76 city sweep conducted in the past 3 days represents, again, the largest such law enforcement action focused on children forced into sexual slavery, which is crazy to me. The children range in age from 13 to 17. The youngest of the victims was allegedly being offered up by her own father, who was also allegedly involved in videotaping his daughter's sexual encounters. Quote, we have victims whose new normal is sexual abuse. We are trying to take this crime out of the shadows and put the spotlight on it, Assistant FBI Director Ron Hosko has said. I'm getting this article directly from the USA Today. In operations involving 230 separate law enforcement agencies, authorities either made arrests or child recoveries from Atlanta to Los Angeles. The weekend action called Operation Cross Country is also the latest in national campaign that has helped recover 2,700 children since 2005. So, Tamika, I'll ask you first, since you're new to the crew here. I have Steppin, Marcus J live from the Dana Legacy Internet Radio, heard here every Monday from 7 to 9 and replayed on Fridays from 7 to 9. When you hear a story like that, and I know you and I are friends, we've talked before about the work that we do with regards to missing kids, but you have a heart, and you've got children that are close to you. When you hear a story like this, particularly the part about the father, offering up his own daughter, like what do you think about this? I mean, it's the essence of a what the hell.
Well, I'm going to say something that shocks you, but it doesn't surprise me.
That don't shock me.
I'm interested in knowing the nationality of these children, because in certain nationalities, these behaviors are very normal and acceptable in their home countries. So it's not surprising, since America is a country of immigration. It's not surprising that would happen here. I'm glad law enforcement was able to make that sweet, and it's unfortunate that these babies have to go through this and live with this for the rest of their lives. But the father, I'm hoping the father gets a good sentence as far as jail time is concerned. But outside of that, my concern is basically the children. What's going to happen with these children now? Will they be given asylum if they're not U.S. residents? What's going to end up happening with these kids?
It doesn't allude in the article as to the nationality, and the story just broke literally within the last couple of hours, and I would guess that it's possible that we may get more information as we continue to be patient to wait for the information to come out. But my guess is that it's probably not foreigners. My guess is it's probably Americans, because we know that a lot of Americans, because we've seen the shows on cable, Sex Slave USA and stuff like that, on MSNBC and stuff like that, where we see, American males mostly going to foreign countries for the sole purpose of having sex with children, where it's not, it's always illegal, but it's not as managed, I guess, for lack of a better term, as it is here. So I guess we'll go with the assumption that we're dealing with American children here in the ages 13 to 17. Colin, I don't know, man. I mean, you know how I feel about children. You've got a small child. I've got a small child. I kind of want to punch these people in the face, man. What's your thoughts, man?
I just don't want to know, is Chris Hansen there?
I miss Chris Hansen.
I miss Chris Hansen.
I'm just saying. You know what? Chris
Hansen
is real talk. Chris Hansen had the funniest show on television.
Yo, I used to love it because Chris Hansen would walk in and see somebody wilding out and look him square in the eye with a straight face and say, "What are you doing here?"
Do you know that you were online? We had the whole transcript.
We have the transcript. We have the transcript of what you said. I'm glad you brought up his name. And here's the crazy part of Chris Hansen. You know that those people on that show, and he's alluding to Help me out with the name of that show called
To Catch a Predator.
To Catch a Predator on MSNBC. You started off on NBC, then ended up on MSNBC.
It got too graphic for
and
NBC,
Mrs. J would get mad because that show was like my guilty pleasure, not because I wanted to see it, but because I was so freaked out, I was so freaked out by it, that I watched it every single time it came on. But in large part, it became a character study with Chris Hansen, because I just like Carlton Banks. I would get such a freaking kick out of that dude. But here's the thing with Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen got busted in a similar sting, but it was a adultery sting. That's why you ain't seen
that's the
Chris,
only reason,
That's why you ain't seen Chris Hansen.
Yeah, his ain't jail time. His just alimony time.
Yeah, it's alimony time, which is basically jail time anyway.
No, he got out of jail.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He got out of jail.
He did get out of jail.
They put him in jail for adultery?
No, we'll tell you about that later.
Yeah, well.
You like you told me earlier, you don't ask a man his age.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
But it's,
But
I
to be honest,
I think he's alluding to the sanctity of marriage getting out of jail. I think is what he was, making.
Ball and chain.
He was making
gotcha.
a pseudo joke about, of course, that all of us married guys could certainly relate to. Anyway,
Yeah.
Steppin, Marcus J. Carlton Banks. I mean, again, you got a small child. I got a small child. Like this story right here blows my mind. You're talking about 105 kids ranging in age from 13 to 17 that are rescued, and Tamika brought up that a lot of those children potentially could be illegals brought from other states or other countries, which is very, very possible. But they could also be children from our country. But keep in mind, at the end of the day, they're still children with parents, assuming that most of the parents love them, but for that jackass that sold his own daughter into slavery. I just don't know how. I mean, I brought this up because it was on the heels of the missing child that we do every single week, but I really don't know what to say about this one here, man. That one right there, that one right there is crazy. And it just, I don't have no words for it. It breaks my heart. But because the story broke today and we do profile missing children, I thought that we would be remiss if we didn't mention it. Ain't I Steppin, Marcus J. The next story that I want to do in this segment of What the Hell is two sisters are suing Texas state troopers over illegal roadside cavity searches. Yes, cavity searches. For those people who don't know what a cavity search means, that means they feel on your naked body to make sure that you don't have anything that you're not supposed to have hidden in any cracks and crevices.
In your naked body.
Inside your naked body. Basically, on Memorial Day 2012, these two women say they were forced over to the side of the road by state troopers who conducted an unlawful search. You got Brandy Hamilton, 27, and Alexandria Randall, 26, say they were en route back from Surfside when they were stopped for speeding by Trooper Nathaniel Turner. After pulling the women over, Turner says he smelled marijuana in the car and called for assistance of a female trooper. Before you ask, marijuana was not found. It was not found in the car. The female trooper then searched for marijuana inside the women's bikini and private areas. In the dash video, which recorded the incident, Hamilton can be heard saying, quote, "Do you know how violated I feel?" to Trooper Jenny Bowie. The two women say the search was not only a violation, but it was also unhygienic since the female officer used the same glove on both women. Quote, "She just came right over. There was no switch out or anything, which is disgusting," Randall said. The Texas Department of Public Safety released the following statement. Upon learning of the incident, department's inspector general immediately conducted an internal investigation, and Trooper Jenny Bowie was subsequently terminated by DPS on June 29, 2013. Trooper Nathaniel Turner was suspended from duty on June 10, 2013, and remains suspended by the department pending an outcome of an internal investigation also being conducted by DPS Office of Inspector General. The women, of course, say the police should be reminded of what their responsibility is to the community, saying, quote, "The police are there to protect and serve. They did not protect me at all." And once again, I should add, no drugs were found on the women. So Tamika, as a woman, I'll get your comment on this first. I want to ask a question. You have the story. Why don't you just tell us what you feel?
They would have had to take me to jail. I am not submitting to any type of search on the side of the road, let alone a body cavity search. It's not happening.
Well, we know as a law student, you know your rights a little bit more than maybe the layman may.
Even if I didn't know my rights, on the side of a road, you are not putting anything inside of me. It's not happening. Not when you can call everybody knows you can call a drug dog. Not when you can call a drug dog to see if you see something or if you suspect something. But on the side of the road, how are these women positioned that this search is even being conducted?
Right,
on the side of a
road.
highway.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah, I didn't even think about how just embarrassing it may be and violated they may feel with it. You know, when you mention how is it being conducted. We got Tony who's hitting us up. Tony, you know her. She's a part of Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J and joins us every second Monday here live in the Den. She says, they do cavity searches on the side of the highway with a bunch of question marks. Yeah, girl, apparently they do in Texas.
Yeah, and why is it that the female trooper has been fired like almost immediately, and yet the male is still on
my guess
suspension?
is, and this is me speculating because I don't know any more than you do, but my guess is she was the one that physically conducted the searches.
Doesn't matter.
Well,
she was called there by him. They both acted together. Both of them should have been fired immediately. That's
you know, I hear what you're saying. However, and there's a case out there that's worse than what happened to those two young ladies, unfortunately. Granted, they got body cavity searched, but there was an incident where a sheriff decided he wants to sexually assault a woman in front of the judge.
I'm sorry, where was this? When did this happen?
In front of a judge. He sexually assaulted the woman and basically made her or intimidate and use his powers to make her apologize for saying, you know, she's being accosted and everything. You got the camera right there, just right in front of a judge. And this woman's in here for a custody hearing about her kids. And the sheriff just sexually assaults her. So, I mean,
law enforcement is out of control at times. They take their power way above and beyond what it's supposed to do, and there's really no rhyme, reason, or explanation that I can offer. And it's really sad because I know a lot of law enforcement officers, and for the most part, law enforcement is good. But you have a select few that do things like this, and it gives the whole profession a bad name because it makes everybody distrusting of them.
Here's what I'll say about law enforcement. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm hard on cops. I'm hard on cops when you got, you know, Oscar in Oakland, they get shot in the back. Ooh, my bad. I thought it was my taser. You know, you get Sean Bell coming out of club with no weapon. He gets shot a bunch of times. Stuff like that. And before I finish my point, S.Y. Butler's listening. She says, there you go. There's no way it's happening. How humiliating. I agree. Call a hound, sniff out the car. And she got fired because she did the search, which she's agreeing with me on that. As far as having a natural distrust for police, which I have, and I struggle with that because my natural distrust of the police comes from seeing a lot of the impropriety done by the police. But I also know, because of, rationalization, that using that logic that I have, that I struggle with, is the same logic that got George Zimmerman acquitted of murder. When you have people who view Trayvon Martin as being the aggressor because he was a black man with a hoodie, when you have incidences of people shooting black men on the street dead all the time because they see a few acting crazy, they assume that we all are crazy. So when you have a few police officers that wild out, we can't assume that all police officers are bad. Now, I intellectually know that, and I struggle with it. So on one hand, I understand why people other than blacks, and even our own black people, who have issues with black men, because when you only see the bad, you assume that all is bad. So just like I've called for, having positive stories showing, the plight of the police officers and the plight of black males, because we know that they're not all bad based on the numbers. We're getting another hit from Joy, who hit us up earlier on. She's agreeing that it's awful and she's agreeing with you, Tamika, you'd have to lock her up. Joey, you going to jail. You and Tamika, y'all both going to jail. Y'all go to jail together.
I'm going to be on CNN while I'm now on the side of the road. It's not going to happen.
You're gonna be
we be fighting. And that's why it's important for people to know your basic rights.
Right.
You know, you don't have to know the laws of every single state, but you should know that you do not have to compel yourself to a search just because somebody asks you, say about the vehicle I want to search.
Right.
No, get a warrant.
Yeah.
Simple.
Ain't no have Steppin Marcus, Jay. We get ready to move on to our next question. I know folks are wondering about the tease that I did. The man that divorced the women who used to be a man. That's going to be the first story that we do coming out of the break. But before we go to break, we got one more story that we're going to do in this particular segment. And this story happened a couple of weeks ago. By the way, the 100 kids being rescued came from USA Today. The 2 women who were cavity searched on the side of the road, that story came from breakingground.com. And the woman who was miraculously surviving after her car is hit by an 18-wheeler and plummets from a bridge comes from blackbluedog.com. Y'all ain't gonna believe this one. If you ain't hear the story, you ain't gonna believe this one. Tony told me this when I talked to her the other day, and I went and did some homework on it. Girl, I found the story. This is crazy. Morgan Lake. There's a picture on here. If you go to blackbluedog.com, you'll see her. Pretty sister, too. She fine, y'all. She's considered to be a very lucky woman, which obviously she is. Last Friday evening on July 19th, she's 22 years old. She was driving her car to Philadelphia to visit her friends. Traffic had come to a standstill. She's crossing the Chesapeake Bay Bridge in Maryland. Now, for those of you who don't know about this bridge, it's a very obnoxiously long bridge that covers the water, and it bridges Virginia Beach, Norfolk area of Virginia, and it bridges it with Maryland. Route 13, I believe. So if you're in the Jersey, Delaware area, and you just get on Route 13 and you go south, you're going to end up crossing this bridge if you end up in Virginia. It's a very long bridge. But anyway, it's like 12, 15 miles, whatever it is. So anyway, she sees a tractor trailer in a rearview mirror approaching from behind at a high speed. She assumed the 18-wheeler is going to come to a stop, but it didn't. And that's when, out of fear and panic, settled. And, as her car was struck from the rear, she got hit by this truck. Now, according to the police, her car hit the barrier on the side of the bridge. The impact pushed her car back onto the road. However, her car was pushed by the tractor trailer again. And the second hit propelled her car upward 3.5 feet to the top of the concrete Jersey wall. The car straddled the wall for a while before finally tipping over and plunging 27 feet from the bridge. And her car completely filled up with water, and she felt herself beginning to drown. So she describes her ordeal in a telephone interview with the Washington Post. She says, quote, "I thought I was going to die. I got myself together and decided I wasn't going to drown, telling myself, you can't do this. You can do this. I went from panic to calm." This is what she tells the Washington Post. Now, when her car hit the water, it was not very far from the bridge. So she swam several hundred feet to some rocks that were at the base of one of the bridge's support pillars. She was noticed by a boater who stayed with her until rescue crews arrived. And when the rescue crew arrived, she was transferred to the trauma unit in Baltimore, where she was treated for a sprained ankle, a few fractures, and some minor cuts. And she was released from the hospital the next day. And those of you who are wondering about the driver of the 18-wheeler, that person obviously in a big-ass truck, they were uninjured or charged with the crime after police assessed the ordeal was only an accident. Whew. Long story, had to get that all out. Tamika, I'm going to come to you on this one first. Without telling your business, I think we already alluded to the fact that you're from New York, I'm from New Jersey. You and I both know that it's a long ride to drive where we got to drive. Sometimes we do the rides with people. Sometimes we do the rides alone. Clearly the sister, Miss Lake, was alone in the car. What the hell, man? I mean, sister. You a sister. That's a sister.
It's very scary. It's very scary. All I can say is for Miss Lake is that God was on her side. It wasn't her time. The fact that she was panicking and that calm that came over her, that she was able to get out of her car and swim to safety, that she is truly blessed. She is truly blessed. Now, how that's just an accident and how the police, after she was hit twice and pushed up in the air and flipped over, I don't know.
She got hit a second time And I'm somewhat familiar with auto accidents and that sort of thing. And I'm not sure about the driver not getting charged with anything, but I can't really speculate on that. SY Butler is saying thank God she's okay. SY, who's also from New Jersey, is loving the Jersey love that I'm giving out tonight. Girl, I rep my hood every single Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J, as well as in Live and Radio, which I will be hosting tomorrow night on Tuesday from 7 to 9 with SY Butler and for Steven Sykes. So, yeah, and J Love all the way. Colin Banks, dude, help me understand how this sister survived a plummet 27 feet from the bridge to the water. Tamika thinks that God was on her side, so does SY Butler. What do you think?
Well, I mean, let's not just bring the fact that she's a woman into it. I mean, this is anybody who's trying to preserve their life after going over a bridge. They're going to look to get out of the situation the best they can. And in her case, once the airbags deployed, she was able to climb through the window and get out and swim. She is a athletic trainer or something to that effect. So when she was on the Today Show or one of those shows, she spoke about it then. So she was trained, and she realized that she wanted to live. So that was the biggest thing about it, that she knew she wanted to live.
Yeah, Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. That's why I agrees that it's scary, and those tractor trailers try to scare you off the road. And Tony's getting a little bit tired of the Jersey NY love. She said big up to Chesterfield. Chesterfield, Virginia.
Ooh, Chesterfield.
Shout out to Chesterfield, Virginia. Shout out to Chesterfield, Virginia. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. We about to take another break, y'all. We still going with KRS-One, BEP. Got a little bit more love going on there. Still feeling revolutionary, y'all. I'm still number one. Marcus J, live from the Den, flagship show. Stay with us. Be back in a minute.
He's down with us.